Oh, this hasn't been washed. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Luke's Reviews. On today's video, I will be reviewing the latest chapter of the DC Extended Universe, Aquaman. First off, as you can probably tell, different set. Basically, long story short, I'm back home for the Christmas break, hence the new, different backdrop. I'm hoping over the next couple of days I can do it up a bit so it looks a little bit nicer. But yeah, hence new location. Starring Jason Momoa as the King of the Sea himself, Amber Heard as Princess Mira, Patrick Wilson as Orm, and Nicole Kidman as Atlanta, Aquaman picks up soon after we left Arthur at the end of Justice League. He's now using his superpowers for good and helping those in need. However, when his brother, King Orm, looks set to declare war on the surface, Arthur must embrace his true heritage and challenge for the throne. So if you were to cast your minds back about 10 years and tell me that, oh yeah, Luke, we're going to get an Aquaman movie starring the guy from Stargate Atlantis, I probably would have just laughed in your face. Aquaman has always been the butt of a joke within the DC universe, but it wasn't until Jason Momoa took on the role and gave the character a new life that's when everyone's perceptions of Aquaman suddenly started changing. In terms of my thoughts on the DCEU as a whole, I actually don't mind it. As of yet, I haven't disliked any of the films. Sure, there are some that are better than others, but as a whole, I've yet to experience that hate that a lot of people feel. As far as Aquaman is concerned, it fits in nicely with the others. It's not groundbreaking or revolutionising the superhero genre, but it is a fun, little exciting ride to go on. Jason Momoa is the beating heart and soul of this movie. He oozes coolness and just takes the character with both hands and runs with it. You can tell that he's just so passionate about the character, not just from his charisma in the film, but if you watch all like press junkets and interviews, the dude is having the time of his life and we're having fun watching him. Amber Heard also gives the best performance I've seen from her. Mira is this character that could have just been solely a romantic interest for Arthur, but she gets her fair share of action scenes and does serve an integral part to the plot, and when she throws down, she throws down. I also really like Nicole Kidman and Tamura Morrison in this film as Arthur's parents. They have a really sweet, tender relationship that I didn't expect going in. As for villains, Aquaman is kind of split straight down the middle. King Orm is the main antagonist, and he's fine. He's just one of those fairly generic one-note villains. It's like, I want to rule the sea in this case. He didn't really have that much depth to him. Much depth to him, that's punny. Aquaman is a lot like some of the earlier Marvel films in both its positives and its negatives, and one of those negatives is a weak central villain. Frequent James Wan collaborator Patrick Wilson is good in the role, but the material he's given isn't anything that interesting. On the flip side, Black Manta steals the whole goddamn show. He's actually given a fleshed out arc that delves into his character and a legitimate reason for conflict between him and Arthur. Plus, the dude looks and is badass. In a film crammed full of CGI, it's quite refreshing to see him and some of his other lackeys have real, kind of cool looking costumes. James Wan directs the film with a lot of flair and energy, and for someone with a predominant horror background, he's adapted to the world of action very well. We got a lot of these beautiful tracking shots that just help capture the action in all of its glory. The actual story, though, isn't anything that remarkable. It suffers from that thing where they are trying to cram so much into this movie, and I'm just sitting there like, whoa, 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 whoa. Focus on at least half of that first. The opening third kind of gives us a great introduction to the world of Atlantis. The second third then becomes like an adventure treasure hunt, and then the third act is this giant battle under the sea. My main issue with Aquaman though is that it's so long. At nearly 2.5 hours, it just doesn't have the legs to keep it swimming at a nice pace. The day before I saw Aquaman, I sat and watched Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Edition, and that's 3 hours long. Comparing the two, Batman v Superman felt like a breeze to get through. The first and third acts are easy breezy, but it's that second act where the motion just completely stops dead in its tracks. It bogs itself down with an adventure that's trying too hard to be Indiana Jones, and then there's all this subplot with Atlantean politics. That, as an audience member, I started to get bored, and I started to check my watch, and I hate doing that. As far as the visuals are concerned, it's a feast for the eyes. From the costumes to the design of Atlantis, James Wan helps bring the sea to life in a way we've never seen it before. It's a bright, punchy, colourful film, the likes of which we haven't yet seen in the DC universe. However, there are a couple of occasions where the visuals go a bit overboard and it becomes a bit like... Also, and this might have just been a problem with my screening, but let me know in the comments if anyone else found this as well. I found it really difficult to work out what characters were saying when underwater. They have this voice effect that they add to just add to the realism, but when they're having slightly smaller, quieter conversations, because of this voice modulation, I really found it challenging to work out what they were saying. Overall, Aquaman isn't the best DCEU movie by any means, but it's a fun time at the movies. The cast are great, even if one of the villains was a bit of a letdown. The visuals are sure to blow you away, but I think I'd be raving a lot more about this movie if it was about half an hour shorter. That length really started to kill the momentum of the film. Also, only one scene during the credits this time. It comes about halfway through, so you won't need to sit there until the very end, unlike me. I'm going to give Aquaman a 7 out of 10. I am interested now to see where the DCEU is going to go from here, because both Aquaman and Wonder Woman were fairly self-contained, so I think if they just keep going with the standalone films, build up the characters, and then possibly lead into a big tentpole film, because I think when it got to Justice League, they were rushing, and it felt like they were just trying to catch up to Marvel. Anyway, that's my verdict on Aquaman. Let me know what you thought of the film in the comments below, as well as your favourite entry in the DCEU. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Links to my Facebook and Twitter are in the description. Many thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.